All right, so I got through most of the assignments and grading. First thing on my list of things that I have to do, and I made a couple page list here of things I want to cover. And the first thing I want to do is the exam review. So hopefully you guys got a chance to take a look at your exam or your midterm. So I want to bring up the midterm, the paper test, so that we can go through. I want to make sure that you have the correct answers. So I'm going to share that screen. All right, so the first one, which space or tab is most the actual drafting design work done? It is done in the model space where we're going to model it. The paper is where we're going to plot from. 16 equals 16 inches, not 16 feet. So that is false. When using the fillet command, the radius can be set at 0 to connect two lines in a sharp corner. That is true. So in the AutoCAD user face, the blank displays prompts for the specific user input. And many of you put command window, and that is technically wrong. It is the command line. So if you look in your AutoCAD and look down there, you're going to see that it says command line, not command window. Because it is a line item, and I believe that's why they call it the command line. So for your final exam, make sure you note that. What command would you use if you drew something randomly in the center of your drawing and now need to place it in the correct position? We'd use move. True or false, a ribbon, a panel with a small black arrow to the right. Oops. Just opened up AutoCAD, went to the wrong screen here. The right of the label has an additional tools for extended panel flyout. That is true. The blank command makes the view of the drawing larger or smaller in the current viewport. Now, many of you put zoom. Zoom is not correct. Remember, we're in the viewport, right? So if we're in the viewport, what were we looking at? Are we looking at model space, or are we looking at paper space?
Paper space.
Right, so if we're in paper space, how do we make that what we see in the view window? How do we change that? Do you remember?
No.
It is the scale.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can zoom in and out, but if we're in the viewport, when we zoom in, we change the scale. So when we change the scale to 1/4 that it scales it. So what we see looks like we're zoomed in, but we're really not zoomed in. We change the scale. So in paper space, remember, it is the scale that changes the size of the viewport. And we don't use zoom in the viewport. It is always, I guess technically we are kind of zooming, but when we're zooming, what we're really doing is changing the scale of the viewport and what the viewport looks like. Use the blank command to create a reverse image. That is to mirror. Use the blank command to remove a portion of a line between two crossing lines. And that is the trim command. So a true or false text on architectural drawings is typically uppercase. That is true. Remember, we always use uppercase so that we don't have L's that some people think are capital I's that some people think are L's. So an L's an L and so on, and that's the reason for that. Use the blank command to remove the, true or false, when drawing in AutoCAD, you are drawing everything full scale. That is true. We never scale anything. We always draw it 1-to-1, and we let the plotter, as we plot it, change the scale for us. And then once you have printed, what tool can you use to make sure drawing is printed accurately? A scale. Remember, that's the, oh, I have one right here. Actually, I cleaned out my desk and I found 7 of them. So remember, your scale is what we're going to check. Once we print it, remember it's on paper, so we have to actually measure it to make sure that it is the appropriate size. And then as far as the drawing, most of you did very well in the drawing. There are a few of you that left out dimensions. Remember that a picture's worth 1,000 words, but most importantly on a drawing are the dimensions, because it can look like it's 100 feet, but if you tell me it's 10, then it's 10 feet. All right, any questions on the exam and the midterm that you took? Remember, if you're muted, if you just hit your space bar, you will unmute it and you can talk. All right. All right, so now on my list, our exam review, many of you, as you're turning in your drawings, you're giving me multiple drawings that I have to scale back and forth to. Some of you are not. So I just want to go through to show you again how to turn those multiple PDFs into one. So I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see, what screen are you guys seeing? Are you seeing my mouse move here?
Yeah, the writer's screen.
Well, they all say the same thing. I have 3 monitors. I have one in front of me, my laptop to my right, and an additional monitor to my left. So I've got some PDFs here. All I have to do is just highlight those PDFs. I've highlighted 2, right-click, combine files with Adobe Acrobat. And then it just pops up, so I can now move them depending on which order I want them. So if I want that one first, I want that one second, I just change the order so that when I'm in Blackboard, I see all of those. For example, the cross sections or the elevations, I have one PDF where I have all of them. On the last set of PDFs, I think that some of you did like 3 or 4 different PDFs, so I had to keep taking notes on different pages and then try to add those all up. Not true for all. Some of you did exactly what you were supposed to. But remember, I'm looking for one PDF with all the drawings in them. It makes my life a lot easier as well. Okay, we want to make sure that our plot styles, that when we're plotting, we're not plotting in color, but we're plotting black and white. So far, all of your drawings have been given to you with your call-outs on them. I'm sorry, so with examples of what you can do or should be doing with them. And I was looking at my next thing on my list. So just make sure that your plot style set up that you're planning everything in black and not color. It just makes it easier for me to grade as well. All right, I'm bringing up 10, 11. Something that was missing on many of the drawings that we saw. Around here. So this is a drawing that was due this week. I am going to share this screen with you. And you are missing it on some of the drawings that you're turning in. So we want to make sure that our drawings are labeled properly. And it starts down here on the bottom with a sheet number. Okay, so we typically start with the basement as being sheet 1, sheet 2. So if we're talking about layouts, A1, A2, A3, A4. If we're going to the next section, and now we're going to move into elevations, we might change that to B1, 2, 3, C1, 2, 3 as we get into the different styles of drawings. But we want to have this number on it. Now this number is very important because as we take a look at our drawings, and here's the one thing that many of you missed, and that is the call out. And remember, why are we using call outs? Because we are using viewports, right? So we could put multiple viewports on a drawing. We don't know where those viewports are coming from. We don't know what sheet to find them on. So the information that we have is that this is elevation number 1. And you determine what that number is. So this is something that you determine. Now I know that A3 means that it is found on sheet A3. Okay, and then I want to know what am I looking at and what is the scale? Because we can change the scale of one elevation we could have at 8 scale, one elevation we could have at quarter scale. So we can change those. So we have to have the location. Now, the one thing that's missing on this would be the arrow, that colored in arrow, that's going to tell me which way is north. Okay, because I want to make sure that I know that I'm looking to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west. So we want to make sure that we have a directional arrow that's telling us what we're looking at as well. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
So,
What?
are you saying Art, are you saying you want an arrow on this drawing? Because
Well, on this drawing right here, it's not necessary. And why is that?
because you're looking east, or you're looking north for east-west elevation.
Right, and it's telling us that. Okay, it's telling us the east-west elevation. But if you look back on your other elevations, you'll see that where I drew in the north symbol and those sorts of things that I put down there for you. So you want to make sure that we have a north indicator. Now, a north indicator can be pointing to the right, could be pointing to the south. It doesn't always have to point up. North points north. So it's kind of like a compass. So as you're looking, like, oh, I see which way north is. Now, it's tough to look north on this one because we're looking to the east, but we have that labeled in this drawing that we're looking at the east-west elevation. So in our
your north arrow would be to the right, right?
Right. So in our, it's really important in our plan views where we know we're looking north, south, east, west. And that was another thing that in the plan views, some of you were drawing some of the orientation of the house so that north was going up, and then you change, and then you had north going to the left, but you didn't tell us that. You just kind of left it. You didn't label your views so we know what we're looking at. So we want to make sure that we have everything labeled and so that we know what we're looking at and where that information is coming from. So again, make sure that we have our locations, our scales, what elevation it is or what drawing it is, what section we're pulling out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a sheet that it can be found on. So if you look at it and say, well, there's only one. All right, on this sheet there is only one, but there may be 2 or 3 on a drawing. And later on the drawing, we can reference back to those. Now, we're not doing anything in this class that's going to be that specific. But later on, as you go through your architecture, you're going to find that you're going to reference sections of sections later saying, okay, you're going to find this layout. One of the next things we're going to be working on is our internal sections. So we're going to find, we may reference section A or section 1 on A30 from an interior section telling us where is that going to be located within the building. So it's just kind of an orientation type thing. So the other thing that I did is I'm opening up, and I opened up, so, you know, we're on week 11. I have opened up week 12, 13, and 14, 15. I've opened up the rest of the semester so that if you've got some extra time, you want to start working on those, you can do that. So this week we're in week 13, right? We're on week 12. So we're starting our interior elevations. Oh. We didn't, this was, well, I'm trying to think. Yep, here we are. So this week we've got our interior elevations. So we've got to the bathroom. So this would be an example of, so now we're on A4. Now we're getting the information about the cabinetry. So this is important. So as we're starting to put in cabinets, where do the cabinets go? What cabinet goes in where? How's it located in reference to the room? Are the mirrors centered over the vanity? Are they centered over the top of the faucets? Where's the toilet located? To the left, to the right? So this is all the information that you need, unless you're of course, the designer slash builder and doing it all on your own. You're pulling it out of your head. The builder needs to know this information, not to mention what is the material that is being used to build this, so they know that they have the right material in their quotes. So we're going to be doing a couple of interior elevations for drawing number 7. When we go to week 13, we're going to start doing our plot plan. So with our plot plan, we're looking at a layout of the house. And with the layout of the house, we're not putting the roof pitches or anything in there. It's just a plan view of the house. And then we're laying it out. So we talked about phantom lines, lines that exist but don't exist. So here is an example of that property line. So we can see, where does the property actually go? And then we're looking at our driveway that's coming in. So we have our driveway, we have our sidewalk up to the porch. You know, that was the other thing I noticed on the cross section, that many of you forgot to put the steps on your porches. Side note. Going back to our elevations, now we're putting in some topic. These are just going to be top views of trees. And these are different species of trees. What are they? I don't know. I'd have to look it up to see, you know, what type of tree, whether that's a pine. I would assume that these are pine trees, and that these are going to be a leaf like an oak or something like that. But then we also have our elevation changes. So we're seeing where the elevation is going to change. Now, the way to draw that is going to be by using a P line. And we've talked about P lines, have we not?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to do a quick P line here real quick. And remember that by drawing that P line, I can I've got it squared now by hitting that. Oops, I just drew lines instead of P lines. Let's do a polyline. There we go. Now by double clicking on it and going to spline, I can kind of waver that out. Now, once I've done that, I can still use the grips and I can alter that line so that I can show that however I need that elevation to go, so I can show the elevation. But that only works with a P line. So using the P line, I can change it, and then of course I could change, oops. I could change that to a phantom line. I've got LT scale, I've got to change much bigger. And maybe this is so small. There we go, went the wrong way. So now I can get that to be my phantom line that's going to show me my elevations. So, and these are typically straight lines. Remember that property lines typically don't go on an angle, they're steel stakes. So they'll put a stake in the ground and there's straight lines for property lines, unless, and then when a property line changes, it typically goes at a right angle. Our elevations, however, can change and go at different directions. So make sure that you're putting those up, and it flows pretty well to the book on how to do those as well. And then I know that some of you, like Nicole and Meredith, I know you guys are chomping at the bit to get to your final project. And your final project is going to be your little house. Oops, wrong one. So your tiny house, these are just some examples. So this is going to be a very small, tiny house that you are going to design and create your own. You are not copying this, but you're going to create your own design on one of those little tiny houses. So you're going to have your elevation, your cross sections, your floor plan of how those are all going to work out. And then typically we would do a presentation on these on exam day, but we are not going to do presentations on ours. You're just going to submit your houses for this semester. So that gives you to the next 3 weeks of class to be able to work at your own pace. The plot plan doesn't take very long, so you can kind of pop that out. Neither does the interior cross section. And then be able to get into the design process, because this is going to take you a little bit more time as you start looking at how big things are, how you want to fit it in, how you want to make that work. And that takes us right up to our final exam. And that's why, again, I labeled it in red, not for the winter 2000. And then when we get to our final exam, I'll open up that final exam the week of finals. So I'll open it up on Saturday. So you'll have 3 or 4 days to complete that. And we want to make sure that we're done. I believe by that Wednesday is our exam day. Can't remember exactly when our exam day is, but you can check the exam schedule. So it needs to be completed by midnight on the day of our exam, but I'll have that open the week of exams. Does that bring up any questions for anyone?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Again, the easiest way for me to help you is through Zoom. And I haven't had a whole lot of people take me up on that. Just like you're seeing.
It's hard.
Yes, Dave.
Can you help us or help me today in class with the block editor?
Yep.
I can't get my batting into my drawing because I can't edit the block. Can you reach into my screen and modify and drive my computer here?
Yes.
Or do you want to show us on yours?
No, once you share your monitor with me, I can request control, and then I can actually work the machine. I can't.
You have disabled the participant screen sharing.
Right, in this meeting we have, but I can. It only takes me one click of the mouse to allow that to happen.
Okay.
So we'll take a look at that afterwards.
All right.
Does anybody else have any issues? Okay, so again, the Zoom software is super powerful. It's a great way for me to be able to quickly look at your drawings and help you. And I know that in some of my other classes, I've had a few students really take, boy, my brain just went blank.
You take advantage of
taking advantage that, hey, Mr. Ward, you can be here in 30 seconds and fix the problem that I've been staring at this for an hour and it's not making sense. And in 30 seconds, I understand. So remember, I'm not going anywhere either. I'm here just kicking around the house, creating papers, doing whatever my wife tells me I'm supposed to do. I've got all kinds of time. So half the time I'm grading or I'm bored, just waiting, looking for something to do. So please take advantage of this opportunity to have a one-to-one contact with me. So if I can help, I would love to do that. All right.
You don't know what you're asking for.
What's that? I don't know what I'm asking for. No, I really do. I think.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So we're going to end the meeting at that. Dave, you can stay on with me. All
right.
I'm going to stop recording. So I'm going to stop sharing here and stop recording. And then we will meet again on Monday to cover, next week, Monday. And we'll just rehash what we have going on for the remainder of the semester. And if there's any other questions, we'll make sure we take care of those.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again. Be safe.
You too.
Thank you.
All right.